U.S. President-elect Joe Biden says he won't immediately scrap the Phase 1 trade deal that Donald Trump signed with China. He says he will pursue policies targeting what he calls China's abusive practices. Well, the Phase 1 deal signed at the start of the year leaves in place 25% tariffs on $250 billion worth of Chinese industrial goods and parts. It also keeps China's retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods. China also agreed to increase its purchases of U.S. goods by $200 billion through 2021. But it is nowhere close to meeting those targets. Simon Marks is live in Washington. Simon, Mr. Biden setting the stage for how he's likely to handle China, or is this an interim measure while, he deals with more pressing domestic issues like COVID-19?
Well, Liz, there's no question this is a very interesting revelation by Joe Biden, contained in an interview with Tom Friedman, the foreign affairs columnist for the New York Times. And he says that from his perspective, dealing with China is all about what he calls leverage. And he says, as far as he can see things, the United States doesn't have any over Beijing at the moment. So he's laying out plans essentially to come into office on January the 20th when he's sworn in and do nothing immediately while he reaches out to countries that he describes as former allies of the United States. In other words, he wants to reach out across the Atlantic and through the region to try and rebuild alliances that he believes have been deeply tarnished as a result of 4 years of Donald Trump's presidency, so that he can take the temperature of regional governments in Europe and build consensus about how to confront China going forward. So on the issue of tariffs and that Phase 1 agreement, his message is that he's got no short-term plans to do anything while he assesses the situation and the degree of support that he's going to be able to build for continuing tough policies towards Beijing. All of this coming at a time when he's under pressure from Democrats on Capitol Hill over the issue as well. Only yesterday, the Democrats' leader in the U.S. Senate, Charles Schumer, urged Joe Biden to be tough on China. So that's an indication of where things may be heading, but nothing's going to change over the short term while he gets to grips with the situation that he's confronting.
Yeah, and in the meantime, China is not close to meeting these targets under the Phase 1 deal. So when the Biden administration comes in, could they up the ante further?
Well, they certainly could do that. I mean, he will certainly have the levers available to him to try and pursue tougher short-term policies. But whether he's going to do that or not is unclear from this interview. It's a wide-ranging interview covering a whole array of different foreign policy areas. Interestingly, he says that he's not looking to do trade deals with anyone in the short term. He wants to focus on putting America back to work and sort of taking an America First policy, if you like, without defining it as America First. So it's hard to see contained within the kernels of information that we get in this interview that he's got a plan to do that, but it's certainly something that he knows will be at his disposal and the Chinese know will be at his disposal starting at high noon on January the 20th when he takes the oath of office.
Yeah, Simon, Biden's also considering appointing someone to look after Asia matters. What do we know about that?
Yeah, well, this is really interesting. This is a report contained in today's edition of the Financial Times saying that the man who has been named Joe Biden's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, a veteran of the Obama administration, believes that it may be worth appointing an Asia czar within the National Security Council to focus heavily on matters throughout the region. The newspaper reports that this started out focused on the possibility of appointing a China czar. That idea did not gain traction, but the idea of possibly putting one or maybe as many as 3 officials in charge either of Asia, which is obviously a huge job for anybody to take on, or perhaps 3 specific regions within Asia covering the entire Asia-Pacific region, is something they're considering. No decision has been made on that. But what all of this does tell us is that in a Joe Biden administration, we're going to be seeing, it would seem, a return to the Asia pivot that the Obama administration, with Joe Biden then as vice president, focused upon. It definitely suggests that the region is going to be taking a much higher priority within the National Security Council and possibly also the State Department than it has over the last 4 years.